What's up everybody, it's Joe again with Team YuGiBOOM, and today I'm coming at you with our Noble Knight deck profile. YuGiBOOM! Alright guys, so this is a little spicy something I've been trying to work on. I've been trying to, build Noble Knights up again and again throughout the years, and they've gotten some more support now and gotten a couple waves of some pretty good stuff on the surface. Been testing it out, seeing how good it actually does, especially with my friend Jose building vampires and beating me. I had to try to make Noble Knights a little bit stronger, so I mixed them with something, and we'll see. I'm still testing it out, and I'll come at you guys with consistent updates to see how the deck evolves. Alright, so starting off with our monsters, we're gonna have 3 Merlin, because 3 Merlin in your deck is essentially like having 6 Murdrot. And then you got 7 with your Rhoda, so it just always helps. But these are the main ones that you're gonna want to use, and yeah. So with Murdrot comes, I'm only running 2 Noble Knight Boars, and Noble Knight Boars is the one that you will mainly be summoning with Murdrot. And when you summon him, then you're going to get a lot of your plays off for all your exceeds. You're going to search out a lot of your equip cards, thin your deck out, and even though he's important for the combo, you don't really want to see him in hand. So I used to run him at 3, but now I knocked him down to 2. And that's just it for that little core group. Then for the rest of the Noble Knights, where I am trying 2 Noble Knight Custonin. He's one of the new Noble Knights. You could special summon him from your hand if you control a Noble Arms equip spell, and only once per turn that way. And then to go along with the free summons, I'm running 2 Gawain. He just requires you to have a normal monster on board, which a lot of these guys are when they're not equipped with stuff. So he's also a free summon. I used to have 3, and I was going to go with 3 and 1, but I decided after some testing that both of their effects came up in different times, so I liked to split them down to have more. It gives me more options when it comes up. I'm still running 2 Noble Knight Brothers, and when I get to the end of the monsters, I'll explain what could change to possibly knock this down to 1. But with a lot of Noble Knights in the deck, he does help with his effect to summon 2 more out of the hand. Plus his recycle and draw effect, even though it's a draw 1, does help your future sold combos later in the game. 2 Guinevere, Queen of Noble Arms. She's an extra equipped, and also beyond that, she just recurs from the graveyard, and she's a really nice protection effect. For the last Noble Knight, I'm running 1 Noble Knight Pelennor. The reason I'm testing him out is my other single Noble Knight in old builds was Dristan, and he pops, I believe, a face-up card when he's equipped. And this guy is a face-up monster specifically. I can't remember if Dristan is the same with monsters only, or if it's any card, but he allows you to draw a card, so even though I never really used Dristan either, and he doesn't get as much play, the draw effect is just nice, so I'm still testing him out, but he might go as well. And then for the last of the monsters, 2 Galaxy Soldier. The 3rd Noble Arms brother or him could be the 3rd Galaxy Soldier. I was running at 3, but I'm trying to just test down to 2 with this right now. And then the last monster is Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. And that's it for your monsters. Moving on to our spells, to start with the Noble Arms cards and your equip cards, period. I am running 2 Caliburn. This gains your monster 500 attack, and you can gain life points once per turn. 2 Excalibur. It makes it untargetable, and it can be used on a different turn from the grave to overlay a different exceed on top of each other for your Noble Knight exceeds. 2 Noble Arms Destiny to protect the monster once per turn. I'm only doing 1 Noble Arms Clarent. It's the new one, and it's really good. It lets the monster attack directly, but it's just not as frequently abused as these ones are, so that's why I still kept these at 2. 1 Noble Arms Gallatin. I chose to not run Offidirter, or however you pronounce it. It's the one that lowers your attack to pop a spell or trap. And then another thing I've learned with testing Noble Knights, which I thought this card would for sure be at 3, but I'm actually down to only 1 Glory of the Noble Knights. And even though it is a quick play and it's another equipped card essentially, when I count, this is 10 right here, I believe, or 9, whatever it is, 3, 6, 9. And then I run 1 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, making it 10 equips, and then your Guinevere is 2, which is 12. So you have a good chance at opening with your Murdrot being active, assuming you start with your Murdrot. These these are all also essentially just to help out with Isolde, since you need to send 4 different name equip spells, and this one can recur as well. So that's it for our little equipped engine, and that's what's working out for me. Shout out to Machuca and pretty much a lot of, you know, random Goki players for bringing that card to my attention. Moving on with our spells, 2 Cosmic Cyclone. That's another thing that this deck is suffering from, is back row, so I still would probably just keep Cyclone over Twin Twister, but might bump it to 3. For our 1-up spells, we got the 1 Rhoda, of course, because it's another Madrat, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Dark Hole, and 1 Last Chapter. You could honestly try to make room for a Regeki too, because this deck needs to be aggressive. The reason I'm choosing Dark Hole is budget reasons. Regekis are in better decks, and on top of that, you can actually get away with Dark Hole, since a lot of the times your monster will be protected. Because even though this deck does have, I gave this deck a little link capability, those are more backups, and you're still going to rely on like a beefy Exceed more than not. And more often than not. And then another thing is, now for the traps, it's just your typical Solemn Brigade. 2 strike, 1 judgment, 1 warning. That's just because I was in a different build of this deck, ignoring the Galaxy Soldiers and the Nightmare engine. I did used to run a more just like Noble Knight heavy build with some hand traps and a lot more traps. And torrentials and stuff. So if you guys want to see that version instead, since I am still testing this, let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, moving on to the extra deck. So this took a lot of time and tweaking, and obviously this version of this deck is really dependent on its extra deck. It doesn't really have a versatile extra deck necessarily, but it does have a lot of answers. That might sound a little contradictory, but when you're running a bunch of different rank 4s, you kind of have a lot more answers, and that's what the older build that I had for this was, even in the Link era. But now I just wanted to give it like a little bit of spice, or see just what can I throw in here and just make it really random. So to start it off with the Noble Knights, I'm trying 1 of the new King Custonin. So you can detach any number of materials and target that many cards on the your opponent controls and return them to the hand. And then if he's destroyed by battle or card effect set to the grave, you can special summon a different Exceed Noble Knight and put this as material to it. So he's a little like and especially only being 1500 attack, that really sucks. So that's the main reason I'm struggling with him, especially the target effect. So this might switch for a Baguska. That might actually be smarter with all the nightmares in here. But moving on, we still got 1 Torgus, your rank 4. He's your spell and trap popper, depending on how many Noble Arms cards you control. 2 Arturigus, he's your main one you'll make. He pops a monster, special summons Noble Knight back, and mainly he's going to be one of your biggest booties in the deck. The last 2 Exceeds, and this is just because we're running the Galaxy Soldiers, is a Nova and an Infinity. This is another thing I'm really still teching and trying out right now. It's just to give this deck a little bit more of a kind of a defensive / aggressive play. Making an Infinity random can either force a warning or just really catch someone off guard. But it is working out so far, but I might take this deck back to its roots and do a little bit more rank 4s. So the rest of the extra deck is all links. So of course we have 2 Isolde, 2 Tales of the Noble Knights, and believe me, I really want to put this to 3 sometimes, but for now I think 2 is fine. Obviously she's going to search you warriors you don't that you can't use yet anymore that turn, and she's going to dump to special summon and further a lot of your plays. Then I'm running 1 Hip Hoshinjin, however you say it. He's your generic light, just takes 2 lights, he's going to pump your light monsters. He's just really easy to make, and a little extra attack never hurt nobody. And then for the rest of the extra deck, it is just every single Nightmare Link monster. I won't go too much into their effects. I know most of you guys have probably seen a crap ton of deck profiles, but really the reason why I like the Nightmare monsters is just when you have an overwhelming hand, and I've noticed with Noble Knights, even though they're very slow compared to most decks, is they do have the capability of swarming, and you get a lot of these monsters on the field. And my issue was I would make one of the Exceeds, and there's really only a point of making 1 of the Noble Knight Exceeds, because they're going to take up almost all your back row with the 3 they equipped themselves with, right? So I was like, then I had all these extra monsters, and it made no sense to just make a Castell or a Dweller or a Cowboy when I'm trying to kill my opponent. So I was thinking, like, what could I make link-wise to really like give Noble Knights a little different edge? And so I finally had pulled all the Nightmare engine like in packs, and I was like, I got really no deck that I could really put this into. I mean, I could play World Chalice again or something, but it's working out for me right now. It really catches people off guard. A lot of these monsters, like I said, they work the same as having a lot of random rank 4s in turns, as they give you a little bit of answers. And believe it or not, I have actually got a couple co-links off and gotten some draws and other little things off with this, and then sometimes they can just give you a little extra edge. And Griffin being light also kind of helps too, you know. I mean, just from the Hoshinijin, it's very a specific reason. But that's the extra deck, guys. That's the whole deck. It's pretty in test mode right now, but I like that I finally added something a little bit more creative than my old school Noble Knights when I used to rely on Kaiser Coliseum and Vanity's Emptiness, you know. So let me know in the comment section down below what you'd like to see from Noble Knights. If you don't like the Nightmare engine, you want to see a more core Noble Knight deck, I'm willing to do that as well. Let me know any changes you guys think I might make. I do also suggest putting in some higher links to maybe like a Borer Load or a Firewall if you can find the space, and as well as other spicy warrior techs that are out there now to give you extra monsters on board. So make sure you follow us on Instagram, make sure you follow us on Twitter. We're trying to bring you guys more content. After the ban list, we're going to update a lot of the decks you guys have been commenting on. We appreciate the love and the early support, and more things from here on out, guys. Thanks.